The Mechanics of Sufferment. Understanding the illusion behind emotional pain. So, what is sufferment? What does it mean to suffer? It's not physical pain, yet it feels just as real. It's a mental continuation or embellishment of pain. It's born from resistance to what is, whatever the fuck is happening. You could be going through pain but not be suffering. It's fueled by thought, memory, and identity. A good example, you could get a paper cut and then you could be like, why me? Why is my life so terrible? Why is this happening? It's like the cherry on top. I mean, sometimes it's a cherry on top. It depends on it's a case by case basis. Some people make their life hell. You know what I mean? Like life throws them a shit sandwich. Well, they're gonna give themselves a shit buffet for something they didn't even have control over. That is a terrible way to live, objectively. But if you want to live that way, you go ahead. Not me though, not me. So, pain versus sufferment. Okay, here we have first element. Pain. It is real. You could do whatever the fuck you want to. You could try your best. Good luck trying to avoid pain. Good luck. Not gonna happen. You have to accept pain. It's part of reality. It's a part of being a living being. You're gonna go through pain unless you don't have pain receptors. So if you're anything like me, a normal person, you're gonna go through pain. Sorry. Sufferment. It is illusory. It's conceptual. It is not real. Simple put, you are suffering. No one even knows. I think we've all been in situations where we're hanging out with people and we're smiling and they don't even know that we're hurting inside. They don't even know. Let's say you went through a breakup and you're going to work and you're like, yeah, great day to go to work. Hey, how are you? And inside you're like, you know what I mean? So illusory, it's not real. It's real if everyone can see it, experience it. So trigger, physical or immediate loss, because lose someone, grieving is real. Sufferment, it's a story attached to the pain. All right, it's the story attached to that pain that did in fact happen. Duration, real pain is finite. It fades with healing. Sufferment, it is indefinite. We can revive it. We could keep playing the story back like a movie over and over and over again. And the sad part is, we can hate it as much as we say we do, but we keep repeating it because we get so attached to it. The nature of pain is biological, while the nature of sufferment is psychological. Ownership, pain, it hurts. Sufferment, I hurt because XYZ, because this. I can't let go because blah 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 blah. Sufferment. So where does it come from? It's the mind's habit of clinging and projection. Eventually, I'm gonna make a video on habits and atomic habits, but the key word is habit, because a habit is automatic action, and a lot of people, I think we can all understand this, is we can easily become slave to bad habits. Like, if you know anything about bad habits, we can easily become a slave. You ever try and stop your bad habits? Habits have a mind of their own. You know what I mean? But that's why it's a negative feedback loop. But once you start building great, amazing, perfect habits, it's going to be a positive feedback loop. Why? Because it's going to happen automatically. But yeah, we're a slave to our negative habits. And guess what? No one in this world, maybe monks or whatever, has taught you to use the brain. You know what I mean? We went to school, but to actually interact with the brain and build good mental habits has not happened at all. I don't even think society as a large cares about that, but that is true. The same way you can have a bad eating habit and be fat as fuck and be like, why am I doing this? Why do I keep binging? It's the same thing with your mental thought habits, all right? And so sufferment is a self-concept wounded by unmet expectations. There's a fear of what happens if we let go. You know what I mean? There is a struggle. What happens if we let go? Good things, but if it were so easy, right? It's a belief that we shouldn't feel this way. So the loop of sufferment. Pain arises, then the mind resists and says, this should not be. This can't be. No, no. And then the story builds. Why me? Why is this happening to me? My life sucks, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to talk about that. And then an identity forms, Woe is me, victim. This always happens to me. Oh my God, right? Then there is a reinforcement with rumination, blame, and longing. And then the sufferment loops indefinitely. People, there are individuals out here who got broken up in high school, middle school. Hell, there's people that peaked in high school and they die. They go to the grave, reliving their glory days and suffering in silence because they peaked in high school and they couldn't let that shit go and move on. It's crazy. So what keeps it alive? Control. Needing life to obey personal desires. Crazy, I know. Attachment to outcomes, to roles, relationships, all right? If any of those things are jeopardized, there's sufferment. Well, judgment keeps it alive, of the self, of others, the moment. You know what I mean? Why are you judging everything? I do. That's part of the reason why I feel like a lot of people don't like posting online is because of judgment, and it's not even from the haters, because the real hater is ourselves. You know what I mean? Our biggest hater is really ourselves for the most part, because we shouldn't care about others think. Should we care about what we think of ourselves? No, but for most people, our own perception of ourselves carries a lot of weight. You know what I mean? Even that we should eventually let go of, and just stop judging ourselves and let ourselves breathe and be. And last but not least, time. Replaying the past or fearing the future. So, to be free of sufferment, these are the things that must be given up. I am sorry. I say, write these 4 things down, be aware, take it to heart, and catch yourself doing these 4 things and start going da 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 and cut that shit out. You know what I mean? It's a negative, bad mental habit. Simple as that. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing amazing. It's just negative mental thought patterns. And you can easily break these by being aware of these 4 things and replacing it. All right? Because remember, the best way to change your life isn't by removing habits, it's by replacing habits, Think of habits that we have as certain tendencies we are naturally inclined to. Find a fitting replacement. Use ChatGPT to help you or any other AI model, okay? So, number 1, the need for things to be different, all right? If I go to Starbucks and they fucked up my order, but I already left, I could get annoyed, I could get irritated, or I could just shut up and drink, just be like, whatever. All right? Number 2, the illusion that suffering equals death or meaning. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. You don't have to suffer. You can go through pain, but you don't have to suffer. You don't need character development, all right? 3, the belief that you are your thoughts. I know. The simple way to dispel point number 3 is notice we pick and choose every single one of our thoughts. Imagine if you actually responded, or I'm going to say reacted, because responded, you must be somewhat self-aware, right? You reacted to every thought you had and acted on it. Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be crazy? So the thing is, everything is nuanced. It's not so black and white. We have varying levels of belief in our thoughts. We believe some thoughts and believe not other thoughts. Believe none of them. None of them is really us. It's all All that's actually happening are mental habits. I'm telling you right now, there are, yes, sometimes we are actually consciously thinking, right? But for the most part, it's just a habit loop. We're not actively thinking. The thinking is happening on its own because remember, habits are automatic action, and the goal is to not really be free of thought. I mean, we can be, and ultimately, you don't even need to think to be intelligent, you know what I mean? Because the we are the body, you know what I mean? We already know. We don't have to turn what we understood into language. That is an extra step that simply doesn't matter. All right? Anyways, next. But, language does have a purpose though. It's very useful for organizing information or anything, but we know the answer before we conceptualize the answer into language, all right? Next, that and then last but not least, the fantasy that's clinging protects us, all right? There is a fantasy, there is a story that we tell ourselves that we must let go. Let go of our movie, which is tough, but so very worth it. And one of my things when I gave up my movie is, I think for me, the only thing that made things hard is just the fact that I kept having this perception that I was going to, you know, feel so unstimulated. But trust me, the stimulation you you lose when you put your brain to rest, your mental world to rest and just live in the void, there is a brand new type of stimulation. You're going to feel higher levels of emotions that you wouldn't let yourself feel. All right? And I'm telling you, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. So, overcoming delusion. Allow pain to be without mental drama. Accept the raw sensation without adding narrative. Key. Watch the mind spin stories and don't follow. Observe thoughts without identifying with them. Train awareness to return to now. Practice present moment consciousness. You could, I'll give you a couple things. You could focus on your breath. You could sit down. You could hear a couple things in the surrounding area. You could smell. You could taste, touch. Focus on your five, six senses or whatever, because I think it's five senses, right? And last but not least, trust that release does not equal weakness. All right, understanding that letting go requires strength. It does require strength and bravery. All right. The final truth: pain is a signal. Sufferment is a story. Let go of the storyteller, and the story dies. All right. Pain is a necessary biological messenger, and sufferment is a narrative that can be released at any time so long as we are willing. That is all for today. Good luck on your journey, everyone. Bye.